Hey guys, how are we today?
What's happening, Jim?
Hey, good. I'm doing good. Nothing's happening here. But we got a lot to talk about with our group today. Hey everyone, welcome to the reboot. Question. I always start off with a question. Have you received your cyber liability insurance renewal yet? Yeah, no, right?
No, no.
Big question for everybody, or are you going to apply for cyber liability insurance? Well, here's the thing: if you haven't received your renewal, or if you haven't started the process of applying for cyber liability insurance, you might be in for a big surprise because carriers are starting to hand down new technology requirements for you to even get coverage. You see, there's a lot of baseline technologies that they need you to have in place so they can stop losing money. And that's exactly what's happening with these cyber liability insurance providers. They're having to pay out an arm and a leg, much more money than they want to pay out for covering a ransomware attack and the other associated and related costs that go along with a cyber attack. And I want to cover some of that with you guys today. But what we're going to do today is we're going to help you be prepared for when you're due to renew, because those things don't come up like 6 months ahead of time. They come up 30 days ahead of time, and the new requirements that they're asking you to check a yes to are going to take more than 30 days for you to apply. So thanks for joining us on the Reboot. I am Jim Gast, and this is the Reboot Crew. Every week we're here to help you as a business owner consider the decisions that you need to make in business. We're all business owners. We deal with business owners ourselves. So we help other business owners make decisions in the areas of sales, technology, cyber liability insurance this week, cybersecurity, human resources, productivity, and so much more. Joining me today are
Brian Bratchy, B&L PC Solutions out of Long Island in New York.
Brandon Bowers out of Eisenramper Managed Technology Services here in South Florida.
I am Dave Groot with WinStar Technologies in Culpeper, Virginia.
Uh-oh. Stephanie, we don't have you.
Cannot hear you, Stephanie.
Hold on. What's the most famous line of 2021? We can't
You're on
hear
mute.
you.
You're on mute.
You're on
Is that
mute.
that's the can you hear me now?
Can you
Your
hear me
headset's
now?
not on mute, is it?
Well, we're
You
going
know,
to give you a few
that-
minutes to figure that one out, Stephanie. Dave, want to introduce her for her?
She is Stephanie Groot with WinStar Technologies in Culpeper, Virginia, and I'm going to go help her get on.
And you can say, we are Groot.
We are Groot.
I want to start by this, ladies and gentlemen. The big question on my mind is, have you all seen the cyber liability insurance applications that are coming out these days? Have you guys seen any of those yet? Oh, wow.
Oh, yeah.
Yep. Yep. Do you get your customers asking you guys to help on them?
We do.
Yep. Well, I'll tell you what. Hey, look at they're in the same window. We could just get rid of David Groot and just let them both be together in the same window. This is actually pretty entertaining. So, yeah, are you surprised at some of these questions that they're asking, some of these requirements they've got on these things, Brian?
Am I surprised? No. No, I think the surprise is really in the, it's written in our language that we speak and see every day, and we try to convey this information to our clients and let them know when we're trying to, whether it be review current services or things that they need. Now it translates into, you're not going to get coverage unless you have this.
No.
And so it's I mean, it makes sense to me. I get why every single question's on there, why it's there, and why they need to check all those boxes. As IT professionals, we get it. But it's, and unfortunately, you're not going to get buy-in from people. You have to do it. There's no, how do I get around this? There's no getting around it. I mean, this is, you're legally bound when you check those boxes. I mean, that's on you at that point.
That's right.
Look, that's how the insurance companies have dealt with it, right? Like across history, take technology out of the way. Like, we have problems with cars, you got to wear a seatbelt, right? You got a problem with the motorcycle, you got to wear a helmet. That's how they fix it. They say you just got to have this, and now you're covered, and it's all good. And they do whatever they can to minimize their risk. That's their business. Reality is,
it's not just
we
cars,
should be
though.
minimizing our risk as well. But go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, it's not just cars, it's homes, it's anything else. And and the number of added things that you do. So maybe there's minimum requirements, right, for you to get some things, but then as you add items, you'll get a discount in your home. If if you're in South Florida and we've got hurricanes, right? So
Mhm,
you get
mhm.
impact windows and impact doors, then all of a sudden you get a discount. If you've got an alarm system in your house, you get a discount, things like that. Same with
Right.
cars, I believe, right? So if you're a safe driver, you haven't had a ticket in so much time, you get discounts, things like that. Yeah.
Even personal,
Uh,
like you
Uh,
take your physical, and it's like, oh, you have this, this, and this, so you're going to pay more of a premium for life insurance.
That's right.
Here
Health
You're more of
I
a
don't,
insurance
risk.
too.
I
You're
don't
Yeah.
think
more of a risk.
here you have that option. Here it's like this is what you need, or we're not going to insure you.
no,
Well,
no,
Go find somebody that will, if you can. But I think
good
it's
luck.
more, defined here.
and,
I think
and
we've all been preaching on high the things that are on some of these applications. Would you guys agree? For a long
oh,
time,
look, none of this is new. Come on, guys.
not
I
at
mean,
all.
this is all standard stuff. It
Very,
really
very
is.
standard.
It's following the very basic cybersecurity framework. I mean, this is not NIST. It is not CMMC.
No.
It's just the regular, everyday, basic things you should be doing to protect yourself. Multi-factor authentication. All those things. I'm sorry.
What it was in the past, it was a backup, a firewall, antivirus. That's what it was in the
Yep,
past.
that's right.
That was the baseline in the past. And because their costs have skyrocketed because of the ever increasing success of cyber criminals,
Mm-hmm.
they've got to ratchet it down and just make it so it's harder for cyber criminals.
Well,
Look,
if you think about this though, a year ago, renewals were easy to get, right? I don't
Mhm.
know about for you guys, but for us, virtually no increase a year or so ago for us when we did a renewal for our cyber insurance. There was no enhanced requirements, no real due diligence on do you have these 10 things in place, put check boxes on. It was pretty simple, honestly, and it was fairly inexpensive. And I think because of we're always talking about where the landscape is today, what you see on the news all the time. It's just more and more, and the insurance companies are protecting themselves.
They're a
They
business. They have
they
every
they,
right to.
they were outlaying cash over the last years, and they're finally finding ways that like they've got to put a stop to the bleeding. They want to be profitable, right? Like insurance companies are known for being year over year more profitable. They got to stop paying out, or they need to put mechanisms in place to better protect their customers, which ultimately protects themselves and their profit, right?
so, I mean, look, we all know that they got to be profitable. They're one of the biggest profitable businesses and industries in the country or in the world, have been for a good long while. But it rings to the whole thing that we've been sitting here preaching and talking about and saying and doing is like, look, guys, this is just stuff you have to do. Like, it's not about like spear mongering. It's not about like, standing at the top of a mountain and screaming, the world is coming to an end. But my God, these people are out there all day trying to hack you. And if you're just not taking some precautions, you're going to get breached. And the insurance company knows that. It's inevitable. It's not about if, it's when.
Well,
We have to get it right every time. They
yep.
got to get it right once. That's it.
That's an awesome statement. And let's talk about some of the financial ramifications of the insurance companies. Okay. The things that are costing the insurance companies, why they're requiring these additional things. And then after we talk about that, I want to get into some very specific things that they're saying on some of these applications we've got. Is that okay? So
Yeah,
first,
no, I mean,
obviously the ransom is honestly the first hit to an insurance company.
some of those companies are refusing to even pay ransom. Like they're just saying, look, we'll give you cyber insurance, but we won't pay ransom.
Yep.
Well, a lot of changes happened over the last year in terms of when they will pay the ransom, that the business needs to outlay the cash first. And so what's kind of scary about that for most business owners is, do you have $500,000 in the bank to pay a ransom? Do you have $750,000 to pay that? Maybe you're going to get it back from the insurance company, but do you have that money sitting around? How are you going to get that money? Is a bank going to lend you money to pay a ransom?
So that's the key word, Brandon, is the maybe. Maybe they're going to pay you back. And so here's where the problem lies for these business owners that they don't understand and realize. It's the same problem we've been fighting with cybersecurity and compliance all along. It's called self-attestation, right? So I have cybersecurity insurance application. It's got 16 things on it, and I'm going to go
check them all off.
yes, and I'm going to pay my premium, and I'm going to get hit with ransomware because I didn't
That's
really have all
called
that stuff in there.
that's called
It's called
insurance
fraud. That's exactly what that's called.
That's right.
But people do it every
Oh, yeah.
day, right?
Agreed.
And so they're like, look, we know you're checking the boxes, but you're not really doing this. And if you get breached and we find that these things were not in place, like you said, Brandon, they maybe will pay you back.
That's two sides, right? So one of them is,
Mhm.
hey, you're doing what you're supposed to be doing. They're going to try and find a way not to pay. But let's say you are getting the money back. Like, still
Yeah.
coming up with
That's
500
right.
grand
Yeah.
for a ransom is insane. Most
It's not-
businesses aren't going to
yeah,
have that
it's
money
not
just
possible.
sitting in the bank, ready to
Even
go.
if you
Ready to spend,
did,
yeah.
you're not going to want to give it to somebody. I mean, come
No,
on,
no,
like
no.
Yeah.
Here's the other reason they're asking for you to pay it first and them to reimburse you is because technically it's supposed to be a crime to pay the ransom right now.
Well, I think they want to do their investigation because they want to find a reason. They don't have to
they
pay
want
that
to
back.
forensically.
I mean-
they need the time, and
Yeah.
usually with those ransoms, there's a time drop, right? Like it's in 2 weeks, 5 days, whatever.
Yeah.
One of the things that I found out that I didn't know when we went through a call for somebody that was hit with a really big ransom, that the insurance providers actually have companies that
Oh, yeah.
negotiate the ransoms down.
Oh, wait, like the first call you make on a breach is your insurance provider, top to bottom. I don't care what we're talking about, and I'll tell you why.
And that's defined where, David? Let's just for clarity.
It's not
In your-
defined
no.
anywhere very well. It's in the insurance policy. Yeah.
Well,
Oh, it
it's in
is.
your incident
In your
response
incident
plan. You have to,
response plan,
you have to have
Yeah.
your
Well,
plan.
it's in the
Yeah,
incident
it's-
response plan that we create for our clients. You
Exactly.
are
Well, let's not go
absolutely
down that
correct.
path too far, but yeah, you're right.
That's a really good point, though. Why
Of course it is.
do your customers call the insurance when this happens? Like, I literally,
If you're in
was
an
speaking
incident,
I was speaking to a customer yesterday.
Yep.
They told me something. They didn't even tell us something happened
Right.
recently, let
They're
alone
not
tell their
supposed to.
insurance company.
No,
well, but see, that's like, okay, so that's what skews the statistics, right? So like we say 1 out of 5 small businesses gets breached, but the reality is it's probably closer to 2.5 or 3 out of 5. It's just
Based
they're
on
not
the
all
reports.
reporting. They're not all notifying. I mean,
What
I've had a
happens
there's not a
situation.
claim for every one of them. Insurance, when insurance makes a claim, that's a stat right there, just so you guys know.
It is. What people do in car accidents. You know what? Let's not go
That's
to
when the stats
insurance.
come
Let's
from.
not.
That's right.
You don't want to do that. But here, I think you have to.
But
Well, I mean,
Brandon,
again, the insurance companies, because of their liability and their exposure and their needs for their clients, these guys, like you said, Jim, they have companies for to negotiate the thing, but they have attorneys, they have forensic teams, they have IT. Like, I mean, they already have the team in play, and frankly, there's sometimes are specific processes that you need to
yes.
follow.
Mhm.
Meaning, do not restart your servers. Do
Mhm.
not like lose what's in cache or in
That's
memory,
right.
or like all that stuff is forensically important and valuable. So the first call you make is your IT guy. Second call is to the insurance guy, and
And your
nothing
IT guy
happens
shouldn't
until
be
those
doing
2 calls are
anything.
made. That's right.
It is absolutely, without a doubt, Brandon. 2 reasons. 1, probably it's written in the policy this way. And 2, if you want them to pay the bill, you are beholden to do exactly what the insurance company says
Hmm.
in order for you to have coverage from them. And they've got a whole, anybody that's going to do this type of coverage has a whole process for it. What has to happen. And so it kind of leads us into the other cost. Ransomware is a cost, right? But you think to yourself, okay, well, we'll stop it in its tracks and we'll just keep going. No. The insurance company may, and I've seen 40, 50 servers, wipe them, start with brand new servers. Our forensics team will tell you if you can use the same hardware. Our
Mhm.
forensics team will tell you if you can move data over and when you can move it over. So a ransomware attack, really, it's kind of funny because everybody thinks that the ransomware attack, the cost is just the ransom to the business, right?
No.
Which is potentially paying out the insurance company. Can you imagine if you're a business of 100 people? Can you imagine redoing all of their workstations, redoing all of their Microsoft 365 into another tenant, redoing everything, all the servers?
And you're talking worst case for a second. Even if you don't have to do that,
Seen it.
during investigation, what if those servers are down for 2 days, 3 days, a week? Just
2 weeks.
Just that time.
2 weeks.
I mean, that's still a major cost. And what are you going to tell your customers, and why is this happening?
You're going to lose business. You're going to lose money. You're going to lose face, reputation, because people are going to know about it. You'd make one customer unhappy
and you know what?
they tell 10.
That's why I think a lot of businesses won't report, because they don't want it potentially getting out. And if you go through insurance in the proper means, I mean, you're protecting yourself and your customers. When you don't report, how do you know that you properly protected yourself in the future? How do you know everything got clean? How do you know they still don't have a foothold? How do you know they're not taking your customer data and this is going to come back worse for you in the future? You don't know.
You know those companies that actually go so far as to negotiate the ransom. They actually know by percentages and statistics what the likelihood of them releasing your data is, and the likelihood of them attacking you again, or the likelihood of giving somebody else that back door that got them in, right? So they have stats on all that stuff. So those are some serious variables to consider by not reporting it, right? You don't know none of any of that stuff. You could pay your $100,000.
Well, go one step further and not report it, right? And let's say you get your data back, and then they leak it. Then they leak it.
Yep, and they could.
And then what do you do?
And there's nothing stopping that. You're talking about criminals here.
Nope.
I got my data back, but I'm going to sell your data too. Why not?
Sell it, and then you didn't notify your insurance company that you were breached, and yet your data was leaked, and then it just could snowball into something that you could just create this web of lies.
It's called the web of lies, Brian. That's exactly what it is. Your mama told you.
Guys, let's move on and let's get into the technologies that we're seeing on some of these things. The one thing that I thought was really interesting with some of the applications I've seen is, do you have an EDR, an endpoint detection and response?
Yeah.
And what I even thought was even more cool, not cool, but cool from they're being very specific. They even mentioned CrowdStrike, Cylance, Carbon Black by name on their applications.
Yeah, I don't like that.
Yeah, I don't appreciate that either.
They don't have who are they? Do they who? They don't get to decide.
They're saying they say e.g. So they're saying such as, right? They put that in there, but they're going to so far as to give you examples of what they're expecting.
It's good and bad. The good is when you're using, as a provider, one of those products, and you're like, this is what we've been trying to tell you to use, or this is what you already have. Customers like that. But going with you, David, it's true. The problem is well, how is that insurance company qualified to make that technology decision or know what is the latest and greatest? Like the insurance company is not that incident response company or vendor, and things change all the time, right? So as soon as that form was created, next week it probably is a different product that should be listed on the form.
Yeah, and I think the EDR aspect of it, obviously, as you say, Jim, it's laying out examples, but what they're trying to get across there is the traditional McAfee, Norton, updated antivirus definition file kind of thing is out the door.
Yep. You got it. And so what are you guys seeing from other questions you've seen on applications? What are some of the ones you've been experiencing?
So advanced anti-spam I see all the time now. And you'll see, hey, in parentheses, proof point or ATP or something else like that.
SimSoc, you saying?
Anti-spam.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yep.
And most people think, I'm on Office. Yeah, I'm on Office 365 or I'm on Google. They do my anti-spam, right? Well, not necessarily.
There's a lot of mixed bag of opinions there.
I thought the question, the way I saw it on this application recently was really interesting. Do you have a separate solution from your email provider for email security? Which,
the other thing is they're asking is if you're doing ongoing security assessments, right?
Well, no.
Being done by
Are you protecting your email spam separate from your email provider?
Right. Yeah. Separation of duties.
Yeah, exactly. And so, the big question I had for when I was working on this application, it was, you've got Microsoft 365, which is a product. Mm-hmm. Can you do Office Defender for Microsoft 365 as a solution for that? Or do you have to have something like a Mimecast or some of those other solutions out there?
I mean, I think based on that question, No, you can't. It has to be a separate solution. I'm
See,
not saying it has to be, but just because you check some of those doesn't mean you're going to get denied, right?
right.
So,
But so when I'm filling out that application, I would say I am not using the default spam filter with the Microsoft email system. I have bought an enhanced add-on product from Microsoft to
Which is
improve
fine.
that
Which is
spam
fine.
filter.
You know,
I think it is.
I think you should go back to the broker to get that question answered.
well, there's usually lines where you can
Yeah.
comment and provide additional information, and whenever we're helping our customers fill that in, we usually provide some additional
You
I
have
think
to.
it's essential.
light.
You should. If
That's
they
called the
if they-
compensating worksheet, right? Sorry.
If they- if you put the information there on your application and they bind coverage, I think that's a basis for argument if they bind the coverage and say, "Oh no, that
all
doesn't work."
day long, all day long.
I would.
You know what
I
a big
would-
one, a big one is that's easy to do or get done is does the organization provide mandatory cybersecurity training, right?
Yeah.
And you know, a lot of people don't. A lot of companies don't. It just even the sound of that is just so overwhelming that I'm just going to say yes, you know. But it's a simple solution, you know, and a lot of this stuff is just a matter of reaching out to your IT company and just look at it and get a cost. If you don't have it already, you probably have most of this stuff already. Encrypted backups, stuff that you should be doing, honestly. I mean, there's no reason in 2021 that we're talking about multi-factor. Do you have that enabled? Like that should not even be, that should just be enabled, as a company.
And we still find people that fight on those things.
Yeah,
too.
I know.
It's amazing, isn't it?
Yeah, look, I get it, don't you guys? Who wants to spend money on stuff that's more?
Some of those are free, though. Some of that's free. I mean,
yeah, no, I know, but time's not free.
Yeah.
You have to understand.
Look,
I tell
the
people,
problem there, Jim, is that they don't realize the other side, right? And that's the forever fight, is to get them to look, it's about spend money now, or spend money later.
A lot more money later.
Right? Maybe. I mean, that's what we're banking. That's the risk, right? That's
well, go out of business. Go out of business is your. I mean, that can happen.
So let's fire through. Let's fire through. I'll fire through. Does anybody have a different application than one I have?
Well, I wanted to mention on all the applications I've seen recently, in all it's usually like a grid of checkboxes, right? They're asking, hey, EDR, SIMSOC. So I'm finding a lot now have vulnerability scanning or penetration testing, and
that's what I said is ongoing assessments. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I'm wondering if that's ever going to be a requirement from some of these
it is
insurance
it should
policies.
be. It's a compliance requirement.
I know it's a
should be an
compliance
insurance. Well, I mean, I'm voicing, obviously my opinion, but I see that kind of happening already because of the fact that it is the best practice.
Yeah.
And I think these renewals this year, soon it will be just simple. Which cybersecurity compliance framework does your company subscribe to?
And what's your score?
Yeah, right. That's what's coming. I think that. So anyway, on this application, I'll fire through a couple. Information and network security. Do you encrypt all sensitive kind of confidential information? Standing information needs to be encrypted. According to this, segregation servers and backups and stuff like that. That's pretty serious when an insurance company is asking that on an application today. That means that it's not like it used to be. They put some thought into this.
Well, because they got caught, right? I mean, the bottom line is they were insuring anybody and everybody. Just here's your premium. It's $400. You got $500,000 of coverage. Yep. And then they got slapped, and they're like, "Ooh, we didn't think about that." And
we're not going to let this happen again.
Now they're changing it. Yeah.
Multi-factor authentication, not just on email, by the way. Do you use multi-factor authentication on secure remote access? Okay. And secure remote access. They added there, secure remote access to your email accounts. Multi-factor authentication. That's almost like conditional access, wouldn't you say, David and guys and gal?
Yeah. Yeah. It's called privileged identity management.
Yeah.
Is what that is.
Yeah.
So I can show you my questionnaire if you want to take a look at it.
Yeah. Pop it up there, brother. I'll put the focus on it.
Let me see if I
We
can.
got a couple more minutes, by the way. I don't want to beat everybody up.
No, we'll
this
just make it
topic.
fun for a second. Just because it's covering all the things you're talking about, right? Like
you got it. I'd love to see it.
While he's bringing that up, to tag on to the multi-factor thing, like you said, not just email. How did the issue with the pipeline happen? Compromised VPN credentials.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Not
Yeah,
no,
multi.
exactly.
no MFA.
And the employee had been not disabled; they were gone. They didn't work there anymore.
Yeah.
Just normal stuff.
Make that
right?
a little bit bigger for us all. Make that a little bit bigger for us all. Oh, there you go.
So, I mean, these are just the topics of conversation that you're going over, right? But you're looking and seeing, are they under any regulatory, any of that kind of compliance? And then what are the different requirements that they have? And
who your cloud service providers. Yep. You got it.
Do they have third-party data protection reviews? Are they using service provider contracts? Do they know what happens when there's a breach? Their firewall, their external computer systems, multi-factor. I mean, this is an insurance questionnaire. This is an application for insurance, just so we're clear.
A lot deeper than some of the ones I see. Credit card transactions.
This is a
remote
pretty rough
access
one,
limited
man.
to VPN. I mean, yeah, but that's probably my fault, Steph. I'm sorry. They want to know, do you have a security officer, right? Do you, how are you storing data off-site? Do you have a retention policy? Is there destruction? What do we do when a computer gets retired? What happens? Like somebody quits. Do I change the Wi-Fi passwords? How do they, like all those things that nobody's thinking about has to be answered.
So David, is this the application or is this a renewal?
This is an assessment questionnaire that we use on an application for insurance. It's an insurance compliance assessment.
So here's my question on this, okay? Imagine you get something similar to this at time of renewal, and it's 30 days away from your renewal, and you're going to get a notice of cancellation and all that stuff if you don't renew. Man, 30 days is not enough to put this stuff in, any of it.
No.
I mean, it just takes a month to make a decision for a lot of businesses and spend the money. Sadly.
And again, this is the trend of the, the world, the industry, whatever, is to get maturity, right? Like that's the whole premise of this CMMC certification when they first came out. Was the idea was you had to have a model of maturity. You had to be able to prove that this is not new. I didn't just set this up today because I want to get certified. I have had this culture in our business, and we have been training our people, and here are the policies, and we can show you history that we've been taking this security very seriously. And unfortunately, the insurance companies are the first step in the private sector to start regulating businesses as far as how their security posture is going to be. And I think you're seeing the writing on the wall.
David, what do you say to people or clients that say to you when you approach their insurance, well, I have you. What do I need it for?
Well, I guess the question would be, you have a seatbelt too, but do you get car insurance? I mean, I have a roof over my head, but my home is insured.
I
mean, it's just,
you guys heard that though from clients? Like
I haven't heard that I have you, but I have heard, it's not in budget right now.
Right.
I'm like, this is a couple grand a year you're talking about for $2 million of coverage, and you're going to spend $2,000, something like that, maybe for a smaller business.
I would be really worried about a customer that says, I have you. Because in the language that I hear when I hear that is,
I'm going to blame you.
I can sue you if something
goes
wrong.
Well, that's right. And so that's when we break out the master service agreement, and we say, you read this again. Okay, because that's not how it says it. I'm happy to provide you cybersecurity, and I'm happy to protect you to the ends of the earth. But you got to ask me for it, and you got to want it.
That's right. Well, listen, let's close this up, everyone. I think the reboot on this is you're going to be surprised when you get your cyber liability coverage renewal applications. If you're not, count yourself lucky, okay? Because insurance companies are cracking down. If you're applying for cyber liability insurance and you haven't done it already, don't be surprised about the questions on the applications, right? I think the real reboot, though, is don't wait until those 2 times come to start listening to your IT provider, your IT teams. Start putting in some of the things that we talked about today. And I think we can make a list in the comments also for people. And if you have any questions, hey, what kind of things are they asking for? You can always comment on any of the platforms you see us on, and we'll get back to you. So,
And if you don't have a policy, you need to talk to an insurance company.
That's the big
Right
one.
away.
Yeah, that's the big one.
I
That's the big one.
still see businesses who A, don't know what cyber insurance is, and B, like you say, argue with you when you say they should have it.
Yeah.
And okay, I mean, like, you know, it is their decision to make, but it seems a little silly when there's a concerted effort taking place every day to get into your network. And I guess the best way to get those people to understand it is to let them just watch their firewall. Right?
Yeah.
Like, I mean, they're getting pounded on and they just don't realize it. And that is because they have you.
That's right.
Right?
That's right.
Yep.
Which is
Stephanie, did you ever get your microphone fixed?
good.
She
Her
did not.
bandwidth and her inner, she's complaining her Wi-Fi's down. Her tech team's
Go
let
ahead
her
and
down.
wave to everybody, Stephanie, because
She's
we're
here
sorry
just
you
to,
couldn't
to make us look good. That's all.
We were glad you were here. You made us all look awesome. Well, listen, the reboot is on every Wednesday, 1:30 Eastern time. We're done for the rest of the year. We are off the air. We don't have to bug anybody for the rest of the year, but we'll be back on January 5th, guys. Is that what it is? January 5th for the reboot with you. And we'll be back again 1:30 Eastern time with a bunch of new topics. So thanks, everyone. Have a
Happy
great
holidays.
rest
Yes.
of the year
Thanks,
and
guys.
holidays.
Everybody be
Thanks.
safe.